Hello there. Well, what do we have here today? So, right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart my well-beloved SY85 Yamaha synthesizer, because for a few, maybe 2 or 3 years, for the past 2 or 3 years, my floppy drive, so you can see right there, my floppy drive has a problem and it can't read the disc anymore. So the other day I ordered, I opened it a couple of years ago and I saw that the belt drive wasn't good. So about a week ago I ordered a belt drive, changed it, and still no luck, still not working. So based on what I was reading and looking on the internet, on YouTube specifically, there was some person who had the same problem. So he changed the belt drive, the belt band of his floppy drive. It still didn't work. But then what he did, he ordered a whole floppy drive and that ended up working. So today I'm hoping that's the case here. I hope that's going to work for me. Here is a floppy drive that I ordered from eBay. There's this guy who kind of, he kind of modifies them. So I think that's the original setup, and then he puts this right here, this little, I can't tell you the name, but he puts this extra thing here. And from what I read, this can fit into the SY85. So I'm going to try that. I hope it works. I ordered this here in the USA. Got here in about maybe a week. It looks like it's brand new. So yeah, I'm going to take this thing apart one more time, and hopefully it works. Alright. Heavy. So this is a keyboard that came out in 1992. Pretty good. Very good. I'll go through the specifics later on. But right now I'm mostly focused on taking this thing apart. So this thing has a whole line of screws on the outline. Then there's more on the panel itself. And then inside there's some other things to take apart to get to it. So let's get to it. Well, anyway, while I'm doing this, I'm just going to talk about the keyboard a little bit. So this is like a 8-track sequencer. Pretty good. I wish it had 16, but with the 8 tracks, I can manage with the 8 tracks. Because I tell you what, the computer and all that stuff is good. I've been using Cubase for a very long time. I started out let's see, when Macintosh decided to go from OS 9 to OS 10, there was a lot of software that got left behind, thrown away, no longer compatible with the new machine. So I was lucky. One day I went to this store, which no longer exists. I wish they still did. It's a New York store called TechServe. I'm sure a lot of people from New York know about that place. They used to specialize in Apple components and Apple software. So one day I get there, I don't know what brought me there, but I found this software and it was in a basket sale. And I asked the guy, hey, how much is that? Because the price wasn't listed. So how much is it? He looks it up. He goes, I was like, okay. he tells me the software was like, I think $25, I think, or maybe 40. I don't know, something like that. I mean, nothing more than 50, I know. And it was Cubase VST5. So those who know, that is a piece of software that, in its heyday, was worth at least $600. And here I am getting this for, I don't know, $40 or something. I don't know. I think it was even 20, maybe $25. I think I got that for. But anyway, very, very cheap. So he says, "Hey man, you're very lucky here today." It was the last one too. He said, "You're very lucky. The fact that Apple no longer supports OS 9, so they slashed the prices on certain on a lot of software, rightfully so. And at that time, I was still using a iMac, which I still have. iMac, those candy blue, those plastic ones. I forgot. What was that? iMac. Yeah, some kind of iMac. And that was still running on OS 9. You can't run OS 10 with that, or at least I didn't want to update it. And it worked. Had some limitations. I mean, that software has unlimited tracks, but I was able to run maybe 24 without the memory starting to act up on me. And yeah, and I learned a lot. And I'm also familiar with Cubase because a lot of my friends who were in Guadeloupe were using that. They were using the Cubase, I forgot, but they were using it, so I was just there watching, looking, and a lot of people in Guadeloupe, France, Europe were using Cubase. Like Cubase was like very popular. So I always stuck with it. So now, maybe a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I bought this interface, a Tascam interface, and that came with the free version of Cubase Li, I think. Anyway, it's a limited version, but it's a new one. This one runs on the OS 10 software, and I actually have a MacBook Pro now, so I've been using that. But sometimes, I don't know, when I was using this with my S1000 and my drum machine, I just felt like the workflow was just better, just quicker, and just, I don't know, I just flowed better. The computer, it's okay. I mean, it has its advantages, but I don't know, staring into a screen, moving a mouse with your finger and all that stuff, I don't know. What's good with it is that you could do everything in the box. And I said to myself, you know, I'm not gonna buy no new DAW. I'm not buying no new DAW. I'm pretty satisfied with my free version of Cubase. It has about, I think I could run about maybe 16 audio tracks and some other, maybe a total of 24 tracks. But the memory is good, and it runs it with no problem. So what I did is that I got a copy of Serato Sample, and for now I'm good. Maybe I might get another VST synthesizer or something like that. But I'm not spending on no DAW. I know a lot of people using Ableton, Pro Tools, of course, which has been an industry standard for a very long time. Let's see, and Logic and all that. But you know, if I did have to buy another software, another DAW, I would stick with Cubase because I just know the system in and out, and I'm used to it, and I like the workflow on that. But still, the computer screens and all that stuff, just, I don't know, that's not for me. So Yeah, so I'm hoping this thing works here, because if it does work, my S1000 has a power problem too, and that I don't know if I'd be able to fix that on my own. Try to bring it to the repair shop, see if it's even worth paying to get it fixed. We'll see about that. Right now, my focus here is on this. But yeah, I mean, the only thing is when you have to synchronize all these different machines, because certain, like if you have a drum machine that has a swing control, and then when all of a sudden you try to use the clock, another clock as a master, you lose all the swing on the drum machine. I mean, it would stay synchronized, it's gonna stay in time in the clock, but whatever swing that you had, it loses it. So that's the only problem when you're synchronizing all these different machines. So, other than that, I'm okay. And of course, you know, you got other sequencer drum machines like the MPCs and all those, where you could just do everything in the box, in the machine, without having problems with swing and all that. But a drum machine is a drum machine, a keyboard is a keyboard. Two different feels. So there's that. So let's see. I took out just about all the screws. Now I have the last line up here. So I'll tell you, man, the way they built these keyboards here before, totally different. Now it feels like the other keyboards, you lift it up, you feel like you can just snap it out and it opens. But these things, wow. Like it's like a car. This keyboard kind of falls in the family of, it was built to compete with like the Korg M1 and the Roland D50. Those were like the keyboards of the time. So a lot of people who are into dancehall reggae of the late 80s and 90s, they know that the Korg M1 is a very, very, very good machine, industry standard at the time. And also they probably did, yeah, it has the house, it has like some piano sounds, I know that I heard. They were using a lot of dance house tracks. So Yamaha came out with this series. They had like this one, the SY85, the SY99, the 77. Before this, I had an SY55. Now, that keyboard is good, which is also an 8-track sequencer. The only problem I had with that is that it did not have a floppy drive. And at the time I was using that with a drum machine, and I was using it with the, and I was sequencing all that, and I was using the SY55 as the master clock. So when you want to save up things, you have to buy these little cards, and what was that? I think PCM or MCD cards they were called back in time, and they were super expensive. And then me, being in Guadeloupe, I had to order them out in France, and that could take a whole bunch of time, and that's a whole hassle. So I said, when I get here, when I get back to New York, I had an eye on this machine, and then when I was able to find a used musical instrument store, and they had it, I picked it up. And you know, it has the floppy drive. So you know, this floppy drive is very, very important to me. Because the floppy drive, you know, floppies are very cheap, even though they're obsolete these days, but you can still order them on Amazon. And plus I have a ton here that haven't been used yet. So the moral of the story was the SY85 had a card slot, and this one has a card slot and floppy drive. More economical. So the screws are off, but for some reason it fits out. There we go. So when you do this, you're just going to be very, very gentle. Make sure you're not pulling any wires, anything like that. Like right here, I feel some kind of tension. I don't know why. If I forgot a screw or something. Maybe it's these two. Yeah, maybe it's these two. Yeah, there we go. And that's it. That is the inside of the SY85, the tank. So maybe I could zoom in a little bit so you can see, have an idea what it looks like. Yeah, so there we go. So this is the floppy here in this area. And from what they tell me, the one I just ordered was modified so it could fit into that, which I really hope that's the case. Because I've been going through this for too long. And I need to get this done. So that's the drive. Then this is the plate that sticks onto the keyboard. So I have to take that apart. Now you gotta be very careful with this right here. Super sensitive, and you don't want to pull too much on that. So that's it. And what I'm going to do is take out whatever you call this. And there it is. So if you can see, that's the floppy drive. So this is the band I bought not too long ago. And if you can see, it's not even staying properly. So I don't know. Well, since I paid, what, I need like $16 for this. I'm gonna take it out just in case. But yeah, the new one I bought apparently does not use a band. It's like a direct drive. So I'm hoping it works, and if it does work, then it's gonna be much better than this, because this is like, you know, like a turntable, direct drive compared to a belt drive. So yeah, people who know the turntables know about that. So yeah, bought this about a week ago. Came in about a week ago, but it's not doing it. So that's that. Get the new one, and this is the new one. So I guess if I put this like that, it's supposed to fit, but yeah, okay. So yeah, that's true. The holes do correspond. Good. And, all right. So we put back the strip. Make sure it goes all the way in. And then we put back the plate. All right. Alright, well, it seems to fit back fine. Now, let's just hope this works. And also, if you do this, or for any other device, you know, I already did it, but I would suggest you to, you know, brush off the dust, any extra dust. So it's good to, you know, take advantage while it's open. But be careful, make sure you don't rough it up too much, no wires don't come off or anything like that. Because this is one hefty piece of equipment. So I'm going to close it back somewhat, just so I could try it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just screw in like two bolts, one at each end, just so I can try it, because if I have to troubleshoot, I don't want to put all the screws in, back in, and then find out it's not working, and they have to unscrew all those, and as you can see, there's a lot of screws in this thing. So just those two, just so I could try it and see what it does. I had to unplug my air conditioner for a little while, but it's okay. Hopefully it stays cool here. Just time for me to figure this out. Alright, let me power you on. Alright, and now let's get a floppy drive and see if a floppy disk and see if it works. I see green, and I see information on the keyboard. So I think that is a good sign. Okay, so there's a demonstration song here. So these are tracks. So I remember, yes, this did have some kind of song. So that's good. But what I want to do, before I do any of that, I want to see if I have the factory settings. That's what I want. So, my collection of floppies between my S1000 and my SY85. So I believe somewhere in these discs I should have one that has the factory settings. So, I'm gonna try these bad boys here first. Let's see. Super Synth. Factory settings, yes, that one has it. So I'm gonna load that because that was very important to me. Yeah, because when this thing broke down, I was left with some kind of like some other, it wasn't the factory settings, it was something else that had probably one of these discs, and it had less sounds than it's supposed to, and that's just a whole nother thing. So I'd rather start from zero with the factory settings, and that is very good news once again. So, yeah, I recognize the names. The factory settings are now back. And I have my drums. Wow, okay, I have my drum patterns. I was missing those too. Oh yeah, that's real good. Okay. Yeah, okay, this has 8 tracks, but it has a 9th track, which is specifically built to build up drum patterns. And the factory settings had some original drum loops, you could use. You modify those, especially, if you're not a good drummer like myself. I'm not a very good finger drummer. I do praise those kids who do that. But if you're not a good drummer, then it's always good to loop something that sounds good, or work with some factory settings and modify them, try to adjust them to make them yours. So that's real good. So I have those back. And good. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I am going to turn this off a little bit so I can put the screws back in. Then I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to set this up on my mixing board so I can hear the sounds. And then, I have you hear some of the things that were long lost on this machine. So since this guy is very reliable, I'm gonna advertise for him here. I don't know, hopefully it's not backwards, but that's him. I'll leave his information. I'll try to leave a link. But yeah, he's the one who's modifying these floppy drives so they could fit your machine. So I know he did it for the SY85. I don't know for what other machines, but if you want to contact him, that's his information right there. And I want to thank him very much, because I'm more of an electrician than electronics. So I could do certain things, but when it comes into welding, unwelding, and things like that, not too much my field. I studied electrical wiring in school, not electronics. So if you could make the part for me, I can install it. But you have to make the part. You have to build the piece for me first. Yeah. All right. So. Okay. Yeah, if you have to do this for any keyboard, they always advise to put it on a soft surface. So make sure whatever you put it on has the extra cushion. Here it's on my couch. You can put it on a mattress, or if you have a table, make sure you put some extra layers of some thick towels, beach towels or something, but you want to make sure that there's no pressure on none of these buttons, especially the modulation wheels, the pitch bend wheels. You don't want that to break while you're unscrewing the device. Unscrewing and screwing it back in. Alright, so that's done here. So what I'm going to do is take a break, adjust, and then we'll go to some floppy disk. Okay? So I'll catch y'all later.